What's up, everyone? My name is Blue, and we are back with some more malicious compliance posts, following the rules to make people look like fools. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to the channel. And with that, let's get into it. Company requires using our airline miles for work trips? Another fun story of an obnoxious boss. As I've mentioned in other posts, I used to travel a lot for business, between 30 and 35 weeks a year. Our boss was a frequent traveler as well, and taught us the tricks of the trade for accumulating frequent flyer miles, and especially status, a really great perk. Eventually, he retired and sold the company to New Boss. New Boss overheard that I had over 500,000 frequent flyer miles with my airline, not credit card points, and said he should implement a new policy that we had to use our personal frequent flyer miles for our business travel, since the company had paid for our trips. That weekend, my wife and I sat down and booked weekend trips all over the country over the next year. Boston for clam chowder? Check. New York City for a Broadway show? Check. Garlic Fest in Gilroy, California? A real and delicious thing, by the way. Check. By Monday morning, my airline frequent flyer mile account was down to about 15,000 miles. Later that week, it was time to book a trip, and he said I had to use frequent flyer miles. I brought up my account and showed him I didn't have enough miles. He asked where they went, and when I said I had booked some trips, he demanded I redeposit the miles. I pointed out there was a $150 charge per person, and that since it wasn't policy, I wasn't going to pay it. Pissed, he announced going forward, we needed approval for personal use of our personal frequent flyer miles. Okay, boss, you bet. My next step was to spread my flights over any and every airline I could find to prevent accumulating the 20,000 miles required to redeem for a free ticket. I was on United, Frontier, American, Delta, Northwest, Continental, US Air, Southwest, etc. At one point, I think I booked a trip on the Mrs. Grace L. Ferguson airline and Storm Door Company. Google it. It's a Bob Newhart routine, and more true now than when he performed it 60 years ago. He eventually figured out what I was up to, and he lost what little patience remained for me. Then the following paraphrased took place. Boss, I suppose you think you're a smart guy. Me. No, I know I'm a smart guy. Boss. Don't get cute. Me. No, I'm smart. Cute is just a bonus. Look, I see my wife about 10 days a month. I live out of a suitcase. I know the aircraft evacuation speech by heart. Most of my meals are handed to me through a window. And thanks to my willingness to do this, you make hundreds of thousands of dollars. Can you please just let me keep the only perk I get from all this? Boss thought about it for a bit, grunted, fine, keep your miles, and walked away. As someone who has traveled for work, getting the frequent flyer miles is a huge perk, and if my company told me out of nowhere like, hey, guess what? You're going to use them for your business trips? I probably would stop traveling and have a hissy fit, because it really is one of the only perks about being taken away from your family. My boss told me to wait longer for deliveries. I did, and I got paid $16.50 an hour for sleeping. I do overnight deliveries for 5 locations of a chain store. I get paid per delivery, not by the hour. My manager told me I can deliver the overnight deliveries anytime at night as long as the shipment reaches the stores before 7:30 a.m. when the stores open. I have keys to all except the last store on my delivery route. I would try to finish my deliveries by 7 a.m., but I have to wait half an hour for the last store to open. I complained to my manager, saying I need that key for the overnight deliveries. My manager kept on ignoring my requests. It went on for a month. I wasted half an hour every day because of him. One day, I just skipped the delivery for the last store because I couldn't take the wait anymore. This made my manager furious. He called me and ordered me to wait by the last store until it opens. I told him I don't want to wait. He said the company will pay me $16.50 an hour for the wait. I happily said, okay. The next night, I started my delivery extra early, and I reached the last store by 1 a.m. I use an app to sign in whenever I reach a store, then I sign out when I'm leaving the store. So, I signed in to the last store at 1 a.m. and went to sleep until 7:30 a.m. Then I delivered and signed out. The company paid me $16.50 per hour just to sleep. This carried on for 2 weeks until the manager got scolded by the higher-ups and I got my key. Our poster is at genius levels of gaming the system. And you know what? The manager probably should have specified just for that half hour they would pay that much. It's kind of on the manager for not being more specific about how long they would pay that $16.50 an hour. Boss demands a strict dress code. I just discovered this subreddit and it's awesome. Here's mine. I'm a teacher, been teaching for close to 15 years. The first school I taught at was horrible. I loved my students, but the principal was horrible. It should have been a red flag that I was hired after her first year at the school, and she had like 30 plus spots to fill out of 110 staff. A ton of people jumped ship because of how bad she was. Not going to lie, the school was tough. We had trouble with gangs, drugs, fights, pregnancies, and it was just a school for 7th and 8th grade. There were some kids that were harder to reach because they were reacting to things the only way they knew. We also had some amazingly awesome kids. I would have easily still be there today, 14 years later, if it wasn't for that principal. I should also say that I am a white woman. The school had 1,100 kids in it. Out of the 1,100, there were only 11 white kids. Out of the 110 staff, there were maybe 10 white staff members. Most of the kids were Hispanic or African American. Majority of the staff were African American as well, including the principal. I was some of the kids' first exposure to a white person. So the principal, who was a bully to students, staff, and parents, systematically took away everything that was positive from the kids and school. The kids had to be in uniforms, but on Fridays they could wear jeans with their uniform shirt. She did away with that. She took away pep rallies. She took away field day. She once told us to be quieter while cheering for our kids at a soccer game. The 8th graders would get a dance at the end of the year. She took that away. A group of my girls wrote a letter asking her why did she take the dance away from everyone? Even the kids who don't get into trouble and follow the rules. And why not just tell the kids who get into trouble that they can't come? They were too scared to ask her in person and too scared to give her the letter themselves. They asked me to give her the letter. When I tried, she refused to take it from me, saying, If they have something to say to me, they can give it to me themselves. One year, Halloween fell on a Friday. At the beginning of the month, when we had our staff meeting, she made it very clear that we were not allowed to wear a costume of any kind. Throughout the month, she sent multiple emails reminding us that costumes were not allowed. I show up that Friday in a dress that has giant flower print all over it. I don't normally wear dresses. I'd gone to a hobby store and gotten 2 giant fake flowers and made them into earrings. I also got a giant red beehive wig. Voila! Mrs. Frizzle from the Magic School Bus. I'm a science teacher. She calls me into her office. This is pretty much our conversation. Her: Miss X, were you at the faculty meeting in blah date? She has the sign-in sheet sitting in front of her, so she knows I was there. Me: yes. Her: did you see my emails about no costumes? Me: I did. Her: did you understand the emails where I said no costumes? Me: I did. Her: why are you wearing a costume? Me: I'm not. I can tell by this point she is incredibly angry. She gestures towards me. Her: then what is that? Me: a dress, not a costume. Her: what is on your head? I feign ignorance and touch my head. Me: oh, this? Are we not allowed to wear wigs? Are you going to tell the staff? She herself was wearing a wig that day that I'd heard her brag about. Oh, she was pissed, but couldn't do a dang thing. All she did was tell me to get out of her office. There you go. What a way to bend the dress code to let you wear a costume. Come to think of it, I'm gonna try that at work. Although, I probably couldn't get away with wearing a dress and a beehive wig. I'm gonna have to think this one over. And that's all the time we have today for these malicious compliance posts. If you liked any of the stories, make sure to click that like button. And if you have anything to say, let us know in the comments section down below. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any more stories. Thanks for listening, everyone. Catch you later.